British media call it the Midas touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of this and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Well, our supporters club had been there for 66 years when it was founded officially, but those who funded it were just doing it for the fun. We just come to the field, drum, sing and go. Nobody gave them any recognition. But I joined them in the year 1977. I paid 2 naira to join. And how did I join? It was because of an incident that happened at the National Stadium. The Shooting Stars of Ibadan and the Bendel Insurance of Benin were playing the semi-final of the FA competition that year. And I had to go to enter the stadium. I paid 4 naira to watch the game. But while entering the stadium, the whole place was filled. And when I got inside, there was no place for me to sit down. So many of us were standing out there, people outside the gate of the stadium. There were more than the people right inside. So as at a point in time, while standing, some people just took me off ground and threw me into the crowd. And I started rolling until I landed on the culvert, concrete. Concrete slab. Before I knew it, over 50 people were on my top. And and I could no longer breathe. So to me that day it appeared I was going to die. But through the grace of God, I was able to wriggle out myself of that position. And the man directly on top of me had to leave, because what I did was by biting him, and I had to struggle to go under the concrete slab. And I was right there for the first half of the game, 45 minutes. I was right there under the concrete slab. I couldn't watch the game. It was the breeze that was coming from the outer part of the stadium that saved the situation. After the first half, you know, people will get up to go to the toilets, to go and buy drinks and meet their friends. I had the opportunity of coming out, and a good Samaritan gave me a small place to sit. Even at that, I was very unconscious. I was not comfortable. But the game ended. It was a drawn game. When the game ended, everybody left the stadium. But because I wasn't very comfortable, I had to wait in the stadium for like an hour and a half before I left. So when I left and I got home, 9 p.m. network news, breaking news. 32 people died in the stadium that day. And that, the thought came to me. I probably could have been one of them. But I thank God. That was what informed my decision to say, I will not go to the stadium again until I have the best way to go into the stadium without being killed, maimed, or injured. And I decided to move with those people, and I joined them. But then we were just doing it. Maybe 20 of us, 15, 30 of us, we meet under the trees of the National Stadium, and we go home. And since that period, immediately I became a member. I introduced what they call flag bearing. When from 1977 to 1990, every Nigerian team that came out of the tunnel or goes out there outside Nigeria to play, you will see the Nigerian green, white, green flag being carried by one person. It's me. I did that flag bearing for 13 whole years. Whenever the team is played, I will be there with them, whether it's the Super Eagles, the under 20, the under 23, the Falcons, and the rest, all our national teams. Even our club sides going out to play Continental. When you see the green, white, green of Nigeria, I used to be the one carrying that flag. So I was with them, and I rose within the ranks from being an assistant secretary to becoming the national secretary and also the chairman of the disciplinary panel of the Nigerian Football Supporters Club. And by 1990, I was voted to be the chairman. That was when the thoughts of registering the club came. So when you hear that the Nigerian Football Supporters Club founder, officially because of its registration, I did the registration. Registering the club, I moved it from Lagos to Ibadan, Oyo State. I'm an Ibadan man. Charity begins at home, they say. So I went to Ibadan. From Ibadan, I moved to Bauchi. I moved to Abuja, Kano, Port Harcourt, all the states of the Federation. By 1992, I went to Cote d'Ivoire, in Abidjan precisely, to launch the supporters club. I went there physically, bringing the Nigerians together, those living in Abidjan. I formed the supporters club and launched it officially. I left that place. I went to Ghana. I launched it in Ghana. Leaving Ghana, I went to Gambia. I went to Burkina Faso. I went to Mali. I went to Republic of Benin. I went to Togo. I went to all the countries of Africa, putting the supporters club in place in those countries. By 1995, I moved to the United States of America. I launched the supporters club at the Giant Sports Stadium in New Jersey in 1995. After that, I went to France in 1997 to launch the supporters club in France in 1997, because we were already thinking of going to France to play in the World Cup. And if the Super Eagles will not have enough supporters there, what will happen to them? Don't forget that I led the supporters club to the United States of America for the very first time we played in the World Cup in 1994. I was at the Copa America in 1995. That was when I had the opportunity of launching the supporters club in America. In 1996, I led the supporters club to Atlanta in 96. And the winning of the trophy, the gold in football event, made possible by the supporters club, support of the supporters club. Because when you listen, when that match, you remember that we played a match with Brazil in the preliminary stage, and we lost 1-0. But we had the opportunity again to meet them during the semi-final. And during the semi-final, Brazil had given us 3 goals. We were trailing 1-3 at the interval. And when the second half came up, we were given a penalty, I think 25 minutes to the end of the game. One of our players, I don't want to mention the name, but he knows, he lost that penalty kick. That was when God told me, sing this song. It's a miracle working God. It's a miracle working God. He's the Alpha and Omega. He's a miracle working God. Of course, my members chorused. Indeed, miracle came. We scored the second goal. And the then Minister of Sports, Chief Jim Nwobodo, came to our stand and said, let it go. I heard you guys singing, it's a miracle working God. It's like God is going to make a miracle to happen today. I said, yes. And we continued. I changed the song. I have a Father who never fails. I have a Father who never fails. I have a Father who never fails. Who never fails. Who never fails. Forevermore. Amen. Jesus never failed. Amen. Jesus never failed. Amen. Jesus never failed. Jesus never failed. Jesus never failed. Forevermore. We scored the third goal. Then another song came. Poya chukuna gaza. Poya chukuna gaza mere. Messiah yobiuma. Poya chukuna gaza. The match ended and there was to be the extra time. And that time was a sudden death rule. Immediately I sang that song, my people chorused. And the ball was coming to Kanunwako. He was backing the goalkeeper. Chested the ball, raised it up, turned around and tapped it to the net. And that was the 4 goals the Nigerian team scored against Brazil. And they started crying. And I decided to form another song. When Nigeria beat Brazil, when Nigeria beat Brazil, oh, Bebeto start to cry. When Nigeria beat Brazil, why Bebeto? Because they pulled him out. They were thinking they were reserving him because they thought they would meet Argentina in the final. Unknowingly to them, that they will be beaten, they don't know. So I did that song, and we sailed into the final, meeting Argentina in the final. And that again happened. Argentina was leading us 2-1. But we came from 1-2 to beat them 3-2. Yeah, to answer your question, I did that to tell you what the supporters club is to the team. And what this man felt by registering the club is that I have that belief. And it is general. Everybody must have it. That this is Nigeria, it's our country. We have to do something by giving it a positive image, whether in Nigeria or outside. You do know that all of us cannot be Mr. President of Nigeria. All of us cannot be governors. And not all of us will be members of the National Assembly. But all of us as Nigerians have special roles to play in giving our country a befitting and positive image. That is the reason why this man has been following football supportership all the time to date. Well, I want to tell you, like I said earlier on, the grace of God has been the secret. The other secret is that my members, I get them reoriented to believe in my vision. All of them supports what I was doing. They all love this country. They want to contribute their own to the good name of Nigeria. That has been the secret. And don't forget, any member of the supporters club should be referred to as a patriot par excellence, because they are not paid. They are not given any allowance. They use their time, their money, even at the risk of their lives, to support the cause of Nigeria through supportership. Well, majorly, it is funding. The challenges is funding, because if you have to support the team, yes, they are playing in Lagos, you may not spend much money. But when they are playing in Enugu, they are playing in Uyo, they are playing in Abuja, you need money, no matter how. But come to think of you traveling with 100, 200, 300, 600 supporters outside Nigeria. They will not go by road. They will go by air. It's a lot of money that we need in running the supporters club. So our main challenges has been that of funding. But I can assure you that God has been good to us. We have had some philanthropists, some organizations who have come to assist us by way of supporting us, giving us a lot of money. And if you will not mind, I will have to put it on record that the very first company that supported Supporters Club was Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola did it for 2 years. They could no longer do it. Then, for 1 year, MTN did it. They could no longer sustain it. Well, later we got Globacom. Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. has been the brain, the backbone, the sponsor, and the financier of the supporters club for several years, doling out millions from 50 to 60 to 100 million of naira, and even in dollars. So that has been the way, that has been how we have been able to surmount it. We have some philanthropists. We have Taiwo Afolabi, who has always supported us whenever we are going out. I remember Alhaji Aliko Dangote in 1996. He supported us, and some other Nigerians too. Esther Ajayi, when we were going to Russia, 2018, I went to this woman and I told her our problems. The second day, she was able to give us 20 million. I went to meet the then governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Governor Ambode. He gave me 10 million. The club, not me per se, he gave the club. And when we were going to Brazil in 2014, that was the very first time any government supported us. We went to Brazil. Before going, I visited the then president, Dr. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. After decorating him as our patron, he pronounced a 50 million naira grant for us to go to Brazil. Actually, we were going to request from him a whole plane to take us there because we were going for a national assignment. Supporters Club is a selfless service. But the president gave us 50 million. I mean, Goodluck Jonathan. But we ended up spending 189 million. The difference of that was raised by me going to Dr. Mike Adenuga, Taiwo Afolabi, Esther Ajayi, Ambode, and the rest. That's how we've been running the club. We've been running the club, meeting people who lost the game of football, who lost Nigeria, and they have been helping us. Well, very, very unfortunate. It's a story I hate to be talking about all the time because I've said many things about it more than 100 times. Supporters Club had been there for several years. And Dr. Rafiu Ladipo was the national chairman for just 10 years, from 1990 to 2000. I left that position in 2000. And then somebody else became the national chairman. And that was Alhaji Waide Anderile Yusuf, who was the chairman for 8 good years. After him, there was Otumba Olatunde Bashonu. He was there for 4 years. And there came a time when one Mr. Vincent Okumagba acted in that capacity for 3.5 years. And there was one little mistake, misunderstanding, because people will not want to wait for their time. And all I told them is, please, go through an election. Anybody who would not want to go through an election is not supposed to be on that chair of the national chairman. That's what came up. And the then NFF believed that there could be 20 arms of supporters clubs in Nigeria. It could even run to 100 units. But it's unhealthy. You cannot have a situation where your team is playing right on the field and you have different corners where you have the Nigerian supporters scattered all over the field, singing in different voices. It's not good. Able to manage it because God has told me that supporters must not die. Supporters Club will not die. I have to be patient to let them see reasons why the Supporters Club should go and support the teams with unity. As a unit, go and support the team. But if you have funded your own, maybe you have registered your own, You have your own office. You can stay in your office. Manage your office. The angle 60, supporting one team. It does not go well. There's nothing you are going to achieve from this. I remember when we were in Russia, and my members have gone in. I normally wait for all of them to go in before I will finally go in. So when I was going in as the last person, I entered the stadium, and I saw them, some people up there, I saw some people on the left, I saw some people on the right. And when I was going to meet the band boys, some of their security men came to me, in Russia, and asked me where I was going. I said I was going to meet my people. They said I should bring my ticket. And when they saw the ticket, no, you can't go there, go there. That place is not yours. Your seat is downstairs there. How do I coordinate the activities of my members? This is what we've been telling them. Supporters Club must be united. They must come together, sing together, cheer the team together, and let us have a befitting result. When the referee and all the match officials see a group of people, even if you are 200 or 300, converging in one special place together, in your uniforms, in your green and white, and you are singing, they know you have come to support your team. So it takes them every reason to want to do the game better. Well, when you are not there, in a capacity crowd of 90,000, we had 5 supporters here, 2 there, 7 there. When the Argentines were about 87,000 in the field, singing for their team. So I believe that the Supporters Club must be together. I've been able to manage it now, up to now. The national chairman of the Supporters Club as we speak is Reverend Samuel Ikpea. He coordinates the activities of the Supporters Club in Nigeria. While worldwide, I'm the President General because we have Supporters Club in all the other countries of the world. And when we come together, there must be one person. There must be the head. We have the president of the Supporters Club in Côte d'Ivoire. We have the chairman of the Supporters Club in UK. In all Francophone countries, the head of the Supporters Club is called president. In Anglophone countries, the head of Supporters Club is addressed as Mr. Chairman. So the President General is not just what we just came out with. It's because there's a need for it. That's why the President General worldwide comes up. Well, I have told you a lot of people don't want to wait for their time. And when you don't wait for your time, what do you lose? You lose much. There was going to be an election. And I called all of them, go and pick your nomination papers for the election. But some of them will not want to because they want appointments. And I don't believe in appointments because we have a constitution in the Supporters Club that says everybody and anybody who wants to be an officer must contest for election. I insisted that there must be an election. Some people would not want an election because they know, probably they believe they cannot win. They decided to say, oh, let's go our way because we don't want election. That's it. Before now, up to about 8 years, 10 years ago, the Super Eagles were really super. But in the last 8 years, we have not been there. We have not been doing well. Don't forget that in 1994, Nigeria's team, the Super Eagles, were judged to be the 5th best in the world. What is our ranking now? 37th in the world. Even in Africa, what is our ranking? So the Eagles of the last 8, 9 years ago, no, they have not done well at all. I want anybody to tell me, what did we win in the last 8, 9 years? Don't forget that in 1980, we won the Cup of Nations right here at the National Stadium. In 1994, we were in Tunisia. We won it. In 2013, we were in South Africa. We won the Cup of Nations. In 1996, we won the Atlanta Olympics. Since then, what can we point to that we have won? So the Eagles of the last 8-9 years, no. They did their best, but their best was not good enough for Nigeria. And that's why we didn't win nothing. But I want to believe that the present crop of Eagles being put together now, going for the Cup of Nations, we want to write their names in gold. And if that is so, it means they have to put in their best to see that going to Côte d'Ivoire 2024 will not just be going there to make a number. We're going there to give a very good account of ourselves. Who says it is not possible for Nigeria to win the Cup of Nations again? It is possible, but it takes a determined group of people as players who wants to write their names in gold to do that. When you are rating the coach, a coach is as good as his last match. Passero was employed, he was given a target, and the NFF has the power to either sack or renew his contract. I think according to them, maybe he has performed according to what they want. But for me, as a Nigerian, I want Passero to go to Côte d'Ivoire and show us that he is serious and show us that the Super Eagles can still fly and make us get minimally play in the semi-final of the Cup of Nations. Anything short of that, no. Well, I want to believe that our Nigerian coaches are good. There have been 2 or 3 foreign coaches that have done well. Westhoff, Bonfrejo, and this which doctor, what's his name again? I'll remember his name. This guy qualified us to play in the World Cup with a match to go. The witch doctor. Well, the witch coach, we call him, we remember it now, it will come back. So, since then, there's no foreign coach that has done better. I was one of the people that went to London to recruit this man I'm talking about. When we recruited him, he came to Nigeria, and he made us to qualify for the World Cup with a match still to go. Philippe Trouzet. I was there in England where we interviewed him. Well, since then, it has been one coach coming to take our money, not giving a very good account of us, of himself. But the Nigerian coaches, let's also praise some of them. Some of them. The late Shuaibu Amadu qualified us to play in the World Cup, even though he did not take us there. The late Stephen Keshi also made us to win the Cup of Nations of 2013 in South Africa. So if that happens, who says the Nigerian coaches are not good? Some Nigerian coaches have proved themselves, but they still need to do more. But these 2 coaches, exceptional. That is the real reason, the real controversy we're having between the NFF and the coaches. You don't hire a coach if you know you cannot pay his wages. You must be ready to pay his salary as at when due. There's no coach who will labor and labor, and after which he would have trained your players, and you are owing him salaries of 5 months, 7 months. Which coach will take that? Where is that happening across the world? Nobody will accept that. So that has to be looked into. And that is why the NFF has got to look for serious sponsors and raise funds for them to be self-sufficient, to be able to take all these challenges of paying the coaches wages. That is a big problem. And I think the present NFF board, led by Ibrahim Guzo, will look into that, look for sponsors, serious sponsors who are interested, not just interested, but who are genuinely interested in the Nigerian game and in the Nigerian nation. You may be interested in the Nigerian game, but if you are not interested in the Nigerian game, Nigerian nation, you may not give what it takes to do. You must have the love of this country at heart, and then love the game also. In the last 15, 10, 8 years, our boxing went down. In the last 5 years to today, our boxing has come up. I am the president of the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control, and I confirm to you that every week now, we have a boxing championship. We had one last week. Tomorrow, we will have one in Abuja. When I come back the following week, there's another one. We have promoters now promoting our boxing events. And our boxers are now earning big money, other than what they were earning before. In those days, they were earning 20,000, 30,000. They go on the ring, they hit them, they shed blood, and they sweat. What do they earn? But since the last 3, 4 years, our boxers have been earning big money. Some of them earning millions. Some of them traveling abroad to earn $5,000, $10,000. And that is made possible because we have a group of people in the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control who respects each other, who respect the boxers, who respects the coaches, and who respects the promoters. Take, for instance, I'm sorry to mention, Go TV. Go TV night every day. They've had about 29 Go TV sessions. You know what that means? Go TV for every boxing fight. They don't spend less than 20 million. They even spend more. And our boxing now is being watched all over the world, if not just Africa. A lot of things have been said about this. We have sent memos. We have sent advice. We have met with the people in charge severally. I've had to write to both the Minister of Sports, the National Assembly, and the rest. How can we develop our sports? It's very important. Without grassroots development, you won't be there. As a matter of fact, Kanu Nwankwo happens to be a product of the Nigerian League. J.J. Okocha, product of Nigerian League. Finidi George, Emmanuel Amunike, and all of them played in the Nigerian League. How many of our Super Eagles players, those that are playing for us now, do you see what developed here? Maybe you have 2 or 3 home-based players playing. But the real product for our football development, they are here in Nigeria. We have to go back to those things we were doing that time when we got the likes of the Segun Odegbami, Henry Nwosu, Christian Chukwu, down to Stephen Keshi, Okocha, and the rest. We have to go back. We don't have to rely on those players who have been serving us in the last 12, 15 years, believing that they will continue to serve us the same way. No matter what you do, players will get weak. They will age. And when they are aging, that's when they start referring to them as tiring legs. You need replacements for them. How do you get that? You can only get them from the local scenes. We have various clubs in Nigeria playing the leagues, the Premiership, the National League, and the rest. 20 teams in one. Do you know how many of our boys out there that can play football if we harness them, bring them together, and give them the right training? Of course, let me ask you, how many of our club sites have feeder teams? Feeder teams, they are very important to the development of the game. When you have a junior player playing the feeder team and is maturing, bring him to replace a tiring leg. In the senior team, how many of those teams that we have can boast of feeder teams? How many of them can boast of their own fields? Perhaps we have about 3 clubs that are privately owned. But others are owned by governments, state governments. And state governments, what do they use them for? For political gains. And if it is political gains, well, it's off it. Let's do football like it is done elsewhere. Football is big business. People are making billions of dollars in football. Nigeria can do same. If we do same, we will take off all this nonsense. The boys going about doing a lot of violence, going to do yahoo, going to do kidnapping and the rest. You will have all of them looking forward to becoming millionaires and billionaires in future. And of course, becoming employers of labor apart from fending for their families. Above 50 football. Yeah, it's above 50. I'm the chairman worldwide for that. And my president is Ambassador Edward Olutoke, who has given his support, his finances to be able to do this game. The thing is this: if you have played football, you have played up to the level that you are about 40, and you are no longer playing, you are no longer doing what you know how best to do, you now go and sit down, not doing nothing. Boredom sets in. And within that period, rather than getting fit, you are aging. Some of them developing various sicknesses that they ought not to have. But because they were no longer doing what they know how best to do, they sit down. So the concept is bringing them back. Not just the footballers, but anybody above 50 could play football, keeping fit, and above all, living a standard life.
Hello and welcome to Souq News Television. We're reaching you live from our studios in Lagos. I am Olumide Shokoya. Now the news. Nigeria's food import bill surged by 16% in 2024, hitting at $2.5 billion, up from $2.13 billion in 2023. The rise comes as over 1 million more Nigerians were pushed into acute insecurity last year. According to the latest World Bank Food Security Update, the report blamed increased conflict and climate-related shocks like drought for worsening the crisis. Data from the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, shows food import rose 3 out of 4 quarters in 2024, despite a brief drop in the second quarter. The CBN also noted that while food imports grew, they made up a smaller share, just over 13% of total import in the last quarter of the year. Analysts say the trend highlights Nigeria's growing dependence on foreign food supplies as local famine struggles under insecurity and extreme weather. The Nigerian Postal Service says it is set to begin delivering financial services nationwide 8 years after suspending operations. Postmaster General Tola Odeyemi said that NIPOS has renewed its licenses with the Central Bank of Nigeria and cleared all outstanding fines. It now holds an international money transfer operator license and a supplier agent and a super agent license. The move is part of NIPO's drive to increase revenue after surpassing the 10 billion naira mark last year and deepened its presence in e-commerce and digital services. Odeyemi also revealed that the agency has signed agreements with several African countries to ease cross-border payments, especially for Nigerians in West Africa. The Postmaster General says NIPO's transformation plan could boost financial inclusion, digital commerce, and even enhance national security if its addressing system is adopted by emergency services. Now, 6 months after the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, promised to unveil a new 210,000 barrels per day refinery in Port Harcourt, 4 retailers are demanding answers. The Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Petron, has asked NNPCL to provide a clear timeline for completing the ongoing rehabilitation of the new facility, while the old 60,000 barrels per day refinery resumed operations last year. Petron says delays on the second project are unacceptable, warning that repeated missed deadlines could undermine public confidence and worsen economic hardship. The association is also calling on President Bola Tinubu to intervene by setting up a panel of stakeholders to fast-track the project's delivery. Petron President Billy Gil-Harry adds that appointing a managing director for the Port Harcourt refinery is crucial to moving the project forward. Local flights are expected to resume at the Ladoke Akintola International Airport in Ibadan before the end of the year. Oyo State Commissioner for Information, Dotun Oyelade, says major upgrades to the airport's runway and safety systems are now at 55%. The upgrade includes extending the runway to accommodate larger aircraft and improved facilities for customs and immigration. While local flights are set to return once regulatory approval is granted, the airport's international terminal is expected to be ready in mid-2026. Governor Seyi Makinde has also assured that next year's Hajj pilgrims will depart directly from the Ibadan airport. On the foreign scene, finance leaders from the G7 nations have begun talks in Banff, Canada, focusing on global economic stability and the war in Ukraine. The 3-day summit includes finance ministers and central bank chiefs from major economies like the United States, United Kingdom, Japan, and Germany. Ukraine's finance minister is also attending the discussion to seek a united stance on Russia's invasion. However, unity within the G7 appears strained following U.S. President Donald Trump's return to office. His recent tariffs on allies and warmer posture towards Russia haven't settled the long-standing diplomatic ties. While no major agreements are expected from the talks, leaders are addressing trade imbalances, China's industrial overcapacity, and the growing impact of global tariffs on economies, with hopes of maintaining support for Ukraine and easing trade tensions. Now, the World Health Organization, WHO, has adopted a new global agreement to better prepare for future pandemics. The legal binding pact, passed in Geneva after 3 years of negotiations, is seen as a major step towards strengthening global health system. Following the COVID-19 crisis that claimed millions of lives, WHO Director Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus called the deal a victory for science and cooperation, saying it could help countries respond faster and more effectively to future health threats. While 124 countries voted in favor, 11 nations, including Russia, Italy, and Israel, abstained from the vote. Many thanks for watching. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souq News Television. I am Olumide Shokoya. Good afternoon.
Directors, President, Nigerian Guild of Editors, distinguished editors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Mr. Chairman, as part of your engagement, to engage with various stakeholders, you have met with various groups, and another critical group that you are meeting today are members of the Nigerian Guild of Editors. Of course, you had a meeting with NUG where they selected journalists from states of the Federation, where you share your vision and also seek for their support. It's the same thing we are here today. Editors, before you is the chairman of the ICPC. Before becoming the chairman of ICPC, he was the Commissioner of Justice in Jigawa State. And he has a vision that he intends to unveil, or he wants you to help him so that he achieve this vision. Dr. Musa Ali San is currently pursuing a vigorous restructuring of the ICPC that requires your support, your understanding. And that is why I came to Lagos purposely to meet with you and to seek for that support. Distinguished editors, I present you as one of you. I present you the chairman of ICPC and Dr. Musa Ali San. Mr. Chairman, you are welcome, sir.
The management staff of ICPC, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm really happy and delighted to be in the midst of these distinguished Nigerians. And I have to say that we at ICPC, we really cherishes and greatly values the partnership with you all, because we know that you are really great and valuable because of the role which our Grand Norm has given to the media. And there is no doubt that your dedication to exposing corruption and enhancing our efforts has been crucial in fostering a more transparent society. And our decision to come here today is part of our determination to strengthen our partnership. That's why this breakfast meeting is not merely an event, but a reaffirmation of our shared mission to combat corruption and uphold integrity in Nigeria. And your support for the ICPC in delivering its statutory mandates, including its robust activities and initiatives in fighting corrupt practices and other related offenses in Nigeria, is really commendable, because you have been really helpful in enlightening Nigerians about the problem of corruption. And I'm personally filled with gratitude that the media has continued to positively boost the ICPC's anti-corruption public communication efforts. your investigative reports, analysis, and over-identification to truth have helped in exposing corrupt practices, because there are a lot of stories that you published which help us in our investigation. And most of these stories, they have led us to discovering some massive challenges that is facing, or that are facing our public sector. And if I may recall, there is one whereby it has to do with our youth. A contract supposed to be executed for the benefit of our youth, but the humongous amount of money was diverted. And it was as a result of one of you we discovered the challenge. So I thank you for the contribution. As we salute your commitment to the crusade against corruption, ICPC under my leadership is really serious to ensure that sustenance and heightening of our collaboration with you. And the media is not merely an observer, you are a frontline partner in the fight. And over the years, ICPC has adopted a strategic communication approach in line with Section 36 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, and Section 27, Sub 4 of the ICPC Act. And these laws ensure the protection of suspects' rights while remaining strict, diligent, and stern in our actions. And ICPC will remain resolute in propagating the rule of law and protecting human dignity. And also, ICPC under my leadership prioritizes the protection of whistleblowers and the integrity of investigations, and transparency is a cornerstone of our work, and we will continue to provide verified information through official channels, which include press releases, newsletters, and our digital platforms. May I quickly review some of our engagement last year? Last year, because I was the Attorney General, and I rallied my former colleagues, we had a meeting in Abuja whereby we look at the challenge of corruption at subnational. We reviewed the problems and also agree that we need to work together. As a former Attorney General, I know that they are critical because they are the chief law officers of the states. That is why I engaged them, and after the meeting we had in Abuja, we started the zonal engagement. We had one in Kano for the Northwest, where we discussed challenges around corruption within the zone. And also this year we are going to the other geopolitical zones to have similar deliberations. And also in September this year we are going to sit down and review what we have done to see how can we partner. Because I feel the attorneys general are critical. And as chief law officers, they need to work together with us, because by Section 15 of the Constitution, all of us are supposed to put hand on deck in order to fight corruption and also to see how can we tackle abuse of office. And also, I had an engagement with Nigerian Institute of the NIPR, the Nigerian Union of Journalists, ICANN, Nigerian Bar Association, and various stakeholders on how can we partner in the fight against corruption. Because no single entity can fight corruption. We need to work together. So that is why I reach out to various stakeholders to ensure that we are on the same page. And last year, we were able to reach out fiscally 1,458,000 individuals through our 579 sensitization exercise conducted under our community engagement programs. And we issued about 188 press releases. And also the Commission experienced increased followership in our social media platforms. And also we introduced what we call ethics pods, a podcast, whereby we are sensitizing Nigerians around the issue of corruption. And also, there is no way we can succeed without having planning. Our strategic action plan 2024 to 2028 was unveiled last year, whereby we gathered stakeholders and discussed it, because that will be our focus on how we can work. And our strategic action plan is in line with the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, which has 5 pillars: corruption prevention, issue of enforcement and punishment, ethical orientation, and also enlisting public support of Nigerians, so that, and also recovery of proceeds of crime and management. And this is the area whereby we have upscaled our activities to see that we trace, recover, and manage the process of crime, and also to remit it back to the Consolidated Revenue Fund, so that we won't allow those allegedly took away what did not belong to them to go away with it. Because if you allow them, once they accumulate the process of crime, no doubt they will use it and also to fight back. And also they will deprive Nigerians with what they are supposed to have in the issue of infrastructure. So that's why we focus seriously in that area of recovery of process of crime. And also ICPC, as you know, that it has laudable programs. And one of the key issues which I focus is that I ensure that I consolidate all what the previous chairman of ICPC have done, from late Justice Mustafa Akambi to Professor Wasoni. I ensure that all their programs are intact, and I'm building up, so that I want to ensure that we maintain that organizational culture of ICPC, and also for me to enhance what they did, most especially to focus on digital transformation, because this is an area whereby we need to use technology in the fight against corruption, most especially in the area of analytics, artificial intelligence, that we'll be able to analyze huge data. And I'm sure you are aware of the constituency and executive project tracking, which ICPC is well known about it. And I know last year we were able to track over 1,500 projects, which has value of over 600 billion naira. And so that at least Nigerians can get good quality projects that is in the budget. And also the Ethic and Integrity Compliance Scorecard, which is an initiative of ICPC, which measure institutions' adherence to ethical standards. We released the results, and I have seen the impact, because most of head of agencies that have not done well, they reach out. Chairman, why? What are our challenges? Can you help us to see that we overcome these problems? Which is really good, because I have never thought that it will have that impact. And why? Because of you here. You have gave it wide publicity. So because of that, most of the head of agencies now, they reach out. Please, how can we do well next year? So I thank you for the assistance. And also our sexual harassment prevention program, which is tackling corruption linked to abuse of power. Last year, I know that we had engagement with the one civil society, where the ministers of the Minister of Education, then Professor Tahir Mamman, and the State Minister Yusuf Tanko Sununu, they were there. The former Minister of Home Affairs was there, and also over 20 commissioners of education across the country, they attended, because we discussed the challenge around the problem of sexual harassment, most especially in our tertiary institutions, because our students are victims of this challenge. So that's why ICPC has been doing its grades in that area, so that we ensure that we help our students, we protect them from sexual harassment. And I'm sure that you are aware that currently there is one of the senior academics that is facing trial at Abuja Federal High Court on this issue of sexual harassment. So, and we are determined to ensure that where there is credible evidence, any sexual harassment complaint tabled before us, we will make our efforts to ensure that we investigate it and also take the matter to court where there is evidence. Then there is our Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit, Act 2, that they have been doing well in the various MDAs in order to help in ensuring that there is transparency and accountability in MDAs in this country. Then, when I came in, I tried to bring up my policy, which I call it Care for Impact, to ensure that ICPs as an agency, I consolidate the good culture of that agency, and also an agency which is accountable, responsible, and efficient in approaching all issues that are tabled before us. So that one too is something that I unveiled last year, and we have been using it. Now, recently, we are aware of the decision of the Supreme Court about the local government autonomy. So we have looked at the decision, and also we have been having various engagement with civil society to see how can we give our quota, how can we control our quota in ensuring that the local government autonomy operates the way it's supposed to. And also, how can we follow what are happening in the local government councils. And we are trying to bring up what we call corruption prevention program for local governments, whereby we will monitor activities at all the 774 local government areas in this country. One problem we notice is that in this era of technology, there are only 7 local government areas in this country that have functional websites. So we feel that is not right. So we will now try to see how can we use technology to force the local government council to make information available to Nigerians so that Nigerians can follow what they are doing. You, also the editors and other media stakeholders, can be able to follow what are they doing so that we will monitor if there are issues, questions can be asked. We too, we can follow, because we don't have the enough manpower to go over all the 774 local government areas. But we feel technology can help us. And we know that practically, I don't think there are procurement processes in our local government councils. This is an area where we need to look at. And also, we will ensure that there are mechanisms around control of corruption, around the issue of finances of local government councils. So we will team up with the media, with the civil society, to ensure that information are available. Nigerians know what is happening, so that at least it will reduce the challenge of corruption at local government level. Last 2 weeks, we are in Gombe, myself and Ola, the chairman of the EFCC, and we discussed around the challenges at local government level. So, and we are determined to ensure that we focus there, so that Nigerians at the local level can get the dividend of democracy. And even recently, we have been facing challenges around the issue of this local government autonomy, because there is even one caretaker local government chairman whom we charged to court Because after the decision of the Supreme Court, he continued to spend government money to award contracts, despite the fact that the Supreme Court said, look, stop. And also we know how challenging this issue of local autonomy has been since 1999. But ICPC as an agency will ensure that by virtue of Section 287 of the Constitution, we have the power to ensure that the decision of the Supreme Court is implemented fully. And also, I'm appealing to those who are making attempts not to comply with the decision of the Supreme Court to please desist. Because Supreme Court is the last court. Once it delivers a judgment, we must comply. That's what is rule of law. Because ICPC will continue to monitor and investigate, because any caretaker local government chairman from 11th of July 2024 who spent public funds, who award contract, that is corruption. Because you don't have the mandate. And also the Apex Court has already spoken, so we must comply. Now, in my 1 year in office, there are a lot of international engagements which ICPC engage in. And in one of the engagements is that last year in September, we had an event in Beijing, China, whereby there is Global Network. Global Network is a coalition of over 200 corruption agencies across the globe from 124 countries. And I had the privilege of leading ICPC delegation and Nigeria, whereby Nigeria participated in an election of steering committee member, and Nigeria was elected as one of the top steering committee member of that global network. And also, one area which I made mention that we have been focusing is the issue of asset recovery. Asset recovery is really area whereby we in Africa, we must focus on it. Because we have seen how our own resources have been taken outside the continent, going to the global north. So that was why at the African Union level, if you may recall, in 2015, there is Thabo Mbeki high-level committee, whereby the heads of state of African countries agree that there is need for a forum of asset recovery practitioners in Africa. And the processes of bringing up the forum, it was last year that the forum was established in Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, and I was elected as one of the representatives of West Africa, whereby we met in Arusha, Tanzania in November, whereby I was elected as the interim chair of that forum to try to galvanize the 55 African countries and corruption agencies to ensure that we come together to see how can we help Africa to recover and repatriate stolen assets that are kept somewhere else. And we agree that, look, apart from slavery, which is our own human resources that was taken to other continents, there are a lot of stolen assets of Africa outside the shore of Africa. And we know what is happening. Whenever you want to trace and recover, the experts outside Africa will charge you huge amount of money to recover all professional fee to recover those stolen assets. So that was why we say, no, we need to come together as Africans. Let us identify our experts within the continent. If we need somebody to trace, Nigeria doesn't have the expert. It can look for Ghana, Kenya, or any other African country. Do you have the expert? Yes. So that's why we are coming together to see that we trace, recover, and repatriate the stolen assets. Also, we'll keep on raising this issue of stolen assets at various fora, because the United Nations Convention Against Corruption has already backed the issue of stolen asset that we need to recover it. So this is an area whereby that I'm chairing now, and we are trying to see how we will make efforts to see that it has seen the light of the day. And distinguished editors, we know that corruption thrives where there is silence or in silence. But your voices are the ones that can shatter that silence. Your role in shaping public perception and holding institutions accountable cannot be overstated. The more Nigerians see what you write, what your opinion about this issue of corruption, the better for us. Because they will be enlightened, they will know what is happening, they will ask questions, and that will put us on our toes. That will minimize the challenge of corruption. Because we at ICPC, we are trying to see how can we use our mission to diminish corrupt practices through our public mobilization, our own doggedness in investigation, and also to ensure that we follow rule of law. We will be patient in investigation. No matter how long it will take, we will do it slowly, but surely we will reach our destination. And also, we at ICPC will ensure that we deepen our own relationship with you, the media. And I'm appealing to you to come to our aid. Try to understand the terrain we are working. It's not easy terrain. Whoever worked within that corruption cycle will know that it is not easy, because it is an area whereby you are fighting those who are already determined to continue to pilfer our resources. It's an area whereby those who engage in corrupt practices are really determined to peddle information that are not correct in order to try to bring controversies so that to divert the attention of the main issue. So fairness, hearing from the other side, is what will help us to discharge our mandate. And ICPC, for the past 25 years, has consistently maintained ensuring that there is fairness and the fair hearing, and also we do not engage in anything that will bring damage to people because of allegation against them. We will continue to ensure that we will be fair. If you ask questions, we will answer. And like I said, we are appealing to you to reason with us because of the terrain we are operating, which I know I don't need to elaborate. So that is why there is no way we will not come close to you. There is no way, because we need you, because Nigerians need to know what is happening. That will project the good image of our country. That will make foreign direct investment to come into our country. That will make our youth to have job. We know what is happening in this country. We know that a lot of youth are roaming on the streets looking for job. And the youth are the future leaders of this country. So, and it is through you, by helping us to propagate our activities and also to bring issues that will project good image of this country. By doing that, we'll make Nigeria great, and also will tackle the challenge of our corruption. And conclusively, I want to emphasize that you mean a lot to us, and that we count on you as dependable partners in ensuring that Nigeria is corrupt-free, and also I'm sure that partnering with you will continue to help ICPC to move forward, and also ICPC will continue to record achievements, And we hope that the aspiration of Section 15 of the Constitution will be realized, where Nigeria will be a country free from corrupt practices and abuse of office. Thank you so much. Money and property last year, and I even know even this year too, we recovered some amount of money and also property. Even currently, we are tracing and marking some assets in one of the states where some people diverted public funds. Even this morning, I know that there is an amount of money which we recovered from the diversion of public funds. So we are talking about both the fixed and movable property. That's if you are talking within Nigeria. Even abroad, it is the same thing. Although during my time, ICPC did not recover any assets from taken outside the shores of Nigeria. But I know that we are collaborating with one of the African countries about money that was brought into Nigeria from that country. We are tracking and to trace the money so that we will see how the money can be taken back to where it was brought in here. So this is what I can say. And some of the issues you raise are part of the problem. Like I said somewhere else, and I kept on saying, I will say it here. My first contact with public office is when I was Attorney General. That was when I now realized that all what I was thinking, when I came into contact with the reality, then I now realize that we Nigerians are part of the problem. One of the issues you raised about societal pressure. I'm not saying that it's a justification for any public officer to engage in corruption. But if you, I'm sure you have had one or two discussions with those who are holding public office. The kind of stress, the pressure that public officers are undergoing in this country is too much. Because the family, the friends, associates expect you to give them money. And this is one of the factors that is now pushing those in public office to go into that. And I noticed that any public officer who resists, you are considered as awkward, very difficult, and they will keep on pressurizing you that if only people that are strong that can stand that pressure. And also some people too, they are even daring, will tell you, I was a victim when I was Attorney General. And I want to say it here, maybe the person who did it will hear an issue which I say, look, AG, we want you to do this thing. I say, sir, it's not even in public office, it's not even a public officer. I say, sir, I can't do this thing because my conscience will not allow me to do it. After they put pressure from different angles, okay, you are a young man. How? I don't want to destroy your career. And I say, sir, my career is not in your hand. It's in the hand of God, my Creator. And I left. What followed, it wasn't pleasant. I had to battle for more than 1 year of series of blackmail, from one blackmail to another, just because somebody wants to get money. And you can only get that money through me. And I was put under intense pressure to succumb, which I did not. What followed was I was put under serious stress. Now, the second problem is there is this theory. Whenever the corruption, if you look at it, if the benefit is high, the risk is low, people will keep on to engage. If people know that if you engage in corruption, it is really highly risky, you will lose your reputation in public. People will never consider you as somebody who has reputation in the society. People will be careful. If you know that the punishment is going to be very harsh, people will be careful. But if the risk is very low, the benefit is high, so people will continue to engage. So that is why we need to look how can we strengthen our laws to ensure that those who engage are punished seriously. And also, you, the media, you have the role to play in sensitizing Nigerians that those who are trying, please try to support them. And distinguished, I want to tell you that there are good people in this country. Every part of this country, there is no part of this country that I did not come across people that detest corruption, people that are serious, people that help me. I met a lot of people that are trying to see how can we help this thing, how can we fight this corruption, Chairman. But the problem is that the support from the public, sometimes people are not willing to support because they feel, you know, what you are doing is not worth it, and also because of the pressure, so people feel like, okay, let us leave you, go and do what. So this is second problem. And also, we need to see how can we fasten the judicial process, because it's law. It is not the law that is the problem, but rather some of us within the system, we try to put stumbling block in the judicial processes, bring in series of applications, truncate, so that you will see one case will take many years. Even the witness will be frustrated. You call a witness today, the matter is adjourned, and I'm not saying that it is the fault of the judges. No, it is all of us, the lawyers, and also other stakeholders, that we know if your client has an issue, as a lawyer, you know, because once you look at the facts and the proof of evidence, you'll be able to know that my client has an issue. Okay, how can we help him to face justice so that all the process of justice, the court and the system should be fair to him? But you will see that that slowing down is also another factor. That you will see somebody engage in corruption, when you take him to court, it will take many years. And before you know it, you will see another corruption case. And also another problem, especially in the public sector, I now notice, is that our public service rules also has a problem, because it has given a leeway that people engaging in corruption, there is no specific provision which provides that, look, once you are engaged in corruption, you should automatically be dismissed. But some you will find that after ICPC are investigating an issue, it has taken somebody to court, even if you secure conviction, you will not realize that the agencies are not willing to edge out those people. They will leave them to continue working. Because I feel any public officer that is convicted, he is not supposed to continue working in public agency. He should go. If the Constitution will say that conviction of embezzlement and fraud attracts disqualification for a certain period of time, I think there is need. Any convict should not be allowed to work within the public service. It should just be aged out. And that is why now, as chairman of ICPC, we are now going to exploit the Code of Conduct, Bureau, and Tribunal. Any public officer with secure conviction and the agency refuses to edge him out, we will send him to Code of Conduct because they have the power to edge him out. So there is another way so that we don't allow people to continue. So these and other issues are part of the problem why the problem of corruption will keep on coming and coming and coming. And also the institutions are really weak because there are a lot of vulnerabilities where people are exploiting in order to commit corrupt practices. That is why we need to focus on technology. Technology will be able to give you the trail. You will be able to know some of the things that are happening, most especially around procurement. This is an area whereby there is serious problem because of the laxity and the challenge around that. So that's why you will see that almost you will be seeing issues around procurement be raised in public sector. So this is also another factor that is bringing this issue of corruption to keep on going. And also there is international dimension too. Because if those who are taking or stealing the humongous amount of money, they don't have a place to hide it, then it will reduce. But they know that they can wear it somewhere else. And those countries, I keep on saying, when you say that we have challenge of corruption, why are you keeping the process of crime in your country? Why can't you turn them back? This is process of crime. Please take it back to your country because there is United Nations Convention Against Corruption. And it is a global legal instrument. But you will find out that when they wear the money outside the country, there are a lot of technicalities. MLA, other things that you'll be frustrated because the legal mechanisms are made in such a way that it's even very, very difficult for you to recover. So if they know that they cannot take it somewhere else, I think the problem might reduce. Okay, the constituency project, like I said, we have been investigating the issue because it's a challenge that has been with us for a long period of time. And from what I notice of why the challenge keep on coming is one of the issues you made mention. Because there was a time when member of National Assembly told me, say, Chairman, I have concern. I say, what is your concern? He said, it's about this executive project tracking. You people are doing well. But I know why this issue will keep on coming. On that day, he was telling me the challenge he was facing. There was burial in his hometown. You need to contribute. He said, look, somebody had domestic accident. He called me. And so he kept on mentioning itself, not justifying, but the societal pressure on us is too much. That's why only those who are strong will resist. And I don't know whether that is part of the reason why we are having this challenge. And to be frank with you, we have noticed areas whereby some of them did not execute the projects. We have noticed whereby some of them, they did shoddy job. We have noticed whereby some of you noticed that, like I keep on saying, a well is supposed to be dig in one place and somebody will just take it to his home farmland. We will see whereby street lights, instead of to be installed on the streets, somebody will put in his house. So these are challenges that are keep coming. And I know that there is one of the newspapers last year, they made a front page story that ICPC has failed to tackle this challenge. And I know that we have been doing our best. And we did a lot because we have recovered a lot. And even currently, I know that there is somebody who is facing trial. A charge will file a charge against one of the former members of National Assembly. The former member is facing trial because of diversion. And also, we know that we have been going to ensure that if you do not execute the contract, you must go and do it. I know that there is a state whereby an ambulance was diverted. We ensure that it was taken to the hospital. I know where a lot of things, and that's why the strategy is good, in the sense that let us recover the proceeds of crime and put it into use. Because if you keep on filing charges and all these things, you will spend many years in court while the actual project will not be executed. And to be fair to them, if you confront them, you show them the proof. Honorable or distinguished, this is a project you're supposed to execute, you do not. Please direct the contractor to go back to site, or contractor go back to site. They go back. And recently, those who are being used, the contractors, I have been hard on them. If you allow money to be diverted through you, we are going to charge you now. You want to refund that money because you allow yourself to be used as conduit pipe. So we have been doing that and we have recovered a lot. And if I may say that the societal pressure, in my view, is one of the challenges, and also the weakness of the institutions. Because, to be frank, some of the heads of agencies, they allow themselves to be used in these challenges of constituency projects. Because if the head of agencies insists, once there is a contract awarded, that contract must be executed to the latter. Or you insist that you're not going to allow anything to be inserted in your budget, which is not out of your mandate. So if we will do that, then this thing will minimize. But if the head of agencies allow themselves to be used, then this thing will keep on happening. And ICPC, all the corruption agencies, we don't have the capacity to follow all the projects. That's why you, as the media, you can expose. The public too, they need to follow their project, on your project. If there's a project which is supposed to be done in your constituency or in your sector district, it was not done, raise it. And I don't think there is any public officer that you confront him with evidence that this amount of money was appropriated for a particular project and you do not execute. Please go back and execute. You will not say, no, I will not go to do that. I hope I have answered. We are doing it in such a way that we don't disrupt the financial system. So we do it in such a way that we don't allow you to continue with illegality and committing crime, so that we will save the banking system and also the public sector fund. Then on issue of Dubai, like you made mention, in my speech I made mention of proceeds of crime. And I alluded to the fact that the international legal regimes, the various laws of countries are the problem. Because for me, I kept on saying in various fora of anti-corruption that look, if somebody steals our money and take it to your own country and you keep it, why are you telling me that we should come together and fight corruption? Why? Because you know, because your own, there is no your money in my country. So that's why you are saying we should join hands. Why I have traced and point out to you, this is the public funds taken to your own country. Why can't you give us our own? But because of the legal regimes, sometimes it's tedious, it takes a lot of time, and there are a lot of, it's not even law alone, there are politics, there are diplomacy, so it is something which is even outside the realm of anti-corruption agencies alone, because you need a lot of stakeholders. I know recently there are countries that I am the one who have been following that, look, let us sign an MOU with you, because we have noticed our funds are being taken to your own countries. And they agree. There are some 1 or 2 countries that I know that we are about to complete signing an MOU because of what we have noticed.
Also here, as a media owner, I here with my team, we have a radio station and also a television station. I want to commend your efforts. For you to meet with the media shows you are transparent. It shows you are accountable. I don't have any question to ask you because I'm part of the team. It is not cheap to fight corruption. It's very, very expensive. Fighting corruption is also very, very complex. It's not as easy as we used to say it. It is only the person that is wearing the shoe that will know where his pitches is. So I commend your efforts and I pray for more grace that God should color your efforts. Everything is in your favor, the age, the energy, you have the capacity, and you have the right team to help you to drive it. You have the right team to drive it. Finally, I have this advice. You can't do it alone. You need to also rely on the outside team to help you to drive your dreams, your plans, and goals, especially in the area of the media. I suggest maybe you could have something like a strategic media public enlightenment committee. Comprises, of course, the media team as well, stakeholders. You have a committee who also help you spread your good news. Also help you spread your good news either in the public sector, in the private sectors, and all that. Because if you say you want to work with media like you would like to work to, it's very, very expensive. But when you have the committees, selected committee, media team, editors, and also for the private sector and public sector, they will help you to achieve your dreams and goals. So you have our support, and like I said, God will color your efforts. God bless you, sir.
Thank you.
Angry ones and the pastors. Let me just add to your to-do list. I had 2 questions written down, but after Ikechukwu gave his lecture, I decided to calm down. You talked about, before I round up, and thank you for coming, judges advising you to go settle out of court. The biggest problem, one of the biggest problems with corruption in Nigeria are those judges. Recently, I think it was the Chief Justice of Nigeria who said election cases constitute about 70 or 80% of the cases they have in their docket, which suggests that election cases are very lucrative for them. So you have to put your searchlight on the judiciary. Then number two, your constituency, the legal profession. Please, MBA has, from all accounts, a vibrant lawyer, Afam Osigwe. Engage, collaborate with him. MBA too has to deliver. Plea bargaining takes place and judges advise you to go settle out of court. It's because the judges too are corrupt. The appointment and promotion mechanism on the bench is also corrupt. Search the NJC. Today, the type of, what's the word now? Corruption in terms of judicial promotion in Abuja is huge and impacts on the quality of judgment delivered. So, Mr. Chairman, the biggest thing you have done is to come here to show transparency. You said corruption thrives when there's. I also say this, I'll add to that, that corruption thrives when there's darkness, when it's hidden. So you're coming out here suggests that you really want to fight corruption in partnership with my colleagues. And it's a brilliant thing you have done. I know you met some of my colleagues in Abuja, and that's why the Secretary of the Guild and the Deputy President of the Guild are here. You have to continue. Because if you want to work with the media, honestly, the way you have shown, the media will work with you, and Nigeria will be better for it. Thank you for coming. God bless you.
And I will do my best to discharge my duty to the best of my ability, together with the officers of the ICPC. That is why, if people are raising the issue of bias, the issue of all this lie, you cannot prevent people from raising those kind of issues. But one thing I know, that if I satisfy my conscience, I'll go to sleep. And like I said, there is somewhere else that we are going to account somewhere. And that is why I try as much as possible to be fair in what I'm doing. And also God knows what I'm doing, and also know my ability, because the anti-corruption is a very complex and difficult thing. Sometimes getting evidence, getting things is difficult. Even if you're investigating issues, somebody will look like you are targeting you are targeting somebody, or you have a motive, or this thing. So on my own part, I will do my best, and also posterity will judge. Because that's the only thing I can say. On the other issue, which like the president said, that the lecture you gave us, and some of the things you raised, I quite agree with you that those are the challenges, and we need to work on them. And in my view, that is why the Constitution is structured in such a way that the Chapter 2, it is left in such a way that is you, the leader, that you strive to ensure that Chapter 2 is realizable. You attain that aspiration: education, healthcare, good environment, all other social amenities. You as a leader, you must think outside the box to ensure that you reduce the poverty level, which I agree with you. The level of poverty is really high, and we need to tackle it, because without tackling the poverty, we will continue to face this challenge of corruption that keeps on coming. And also, we are not justifying or depending the public office holders or the politicians, like you said, that we are saying that there is societal pressure. Like you said, it's a fact. We can't deny it. Myself as ICPC chairman, if I show you the number of text messages people are sending to me every day. You'll be shocked. In fact, I am even thinking that some of them have even forgotten that I am the ICPC chairman. Maybe they are thinking that I am chairman of one local government or a state governor. Because they will keep on sending. So, and also they will keep on calling because the number of calls are such that they are unbearable. And we are part of the society. Even if we deny, there is such a thing that even if you deny is a reality. And I agree that poverty is one of the factors. But also we have to keep on telling people that they need to consider public holders. And also we, the public office holders also, we need to live a simple life. Because some of us, the way we are living a very larger life, that's why people will keep on pressurizing you. But unfortunately, it is also us, the Nigerians, that are pushing people. Like that member I started an example, he told me that my constituents were telling me that, look at this man. He has finished house order, he has an old car. Up to now. So people are even looking at you, there are certain things that even if you exhibit as a public officer, people will look at you that is strange. So why? Because it is the society that are pushing people to adopt a life that will put you in trouble. And once you resist, like I said, they will say you are awkward, you are difficult. You know, all these things. And we are all human beings. And that is why we need that support from you, the media, in your own writings, articles, and opinions, and also the public too. They need to support public officers that are transparent, that try to live within their means and within the ambit of the law. But without that, you will find one or two people that because of that, they will derail. Because of that prejudice. That's why always I will raise this issue of prejudice. Last week when I was in Gombe, and I told the chairman, don't allow anybody to put pressure on you to dip your hand in public purse. Let them say whatever they want to say. Because one day you are going to leave. It's better for you to leave, you go home and sleep well, than for you to leave and something to follow up which will not be nice.
Well, I think as the name goes, we're still faring very well. We're still holding on. Basically, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited is a Nigerian company owned by the federal government of Nigeria, the 36 states, and the 774 local governments. The federal government has 47% shares in NDPHC, and the 36 states and federal capital territory, plus the 774 local governments own the remaining 53%. Originally, It was supposed to be a stopgap, build and sell power plants to increase the power availability. But in the process, as the company moved along, they discovered that if you build power plants, you also have to build complementary transmission networks. And then if you have transmission networks, you will also need the distribution network so that the power can ultimately get to the consumers. And so because of the gap that was in the sector at the time, Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited was asked to build more power transmission networks, substations, injection substations. So over time, we had grown into the behemoth that we are today. Principally, we have 8 power plants functioning now, and then 2 are in the process of being completed. So that's what Niger Delta has been. But basically, I can say without any iota of contradiction that Niger Delta Power Holding Company Limited has been able to increase the capacity, the network capacity, by about 50%, and of course the distribution capacity by about 60%. We are capable of producing up to 4,000 megawatts now, but there are still some constraints in the transmission network, which is being addressed by the various arms of government and the various stakeholders in the sector. If I want to talk about the problems in the power sector, you need more than an hour program. They are multifaceted. And each time solutions are being found, they are not far-reaching enough. For instance, before the enactment of the Electric Power Sector Reform Act, it was thought that the problem was we didn't have enough generation power, and that's what gave rise to the NIPP, which is the National Integrated Power Project, which was basically to increase the power availability in Nigeria. And there were gaps because at that time, I don't think the solution was holistic enough. I'm talking of during the time of President Olusegun Obasanjo. You remember the National Integrated Power Project was conceived at the time. And it's strange that for the past many years, we are talking about 4,000 megawatts, 4,000. In reality, the available power in Nigeria is about 16,000 megawatts now, between 13,000 and 16,000 megawatts. So you wonder, why are we producing or generating or putting on the grid about 4,800 megawatts? So there's a gap. And the gap is basically the fact that the present network is aged. It's inadequate. There is fragmentation in the sector. You have, as of today, about 26 different bodies in the power sector. And it's a typical Nigerian problem. Once Nigeria identifies a problem, they create another agency to deal with that problem, rather than looking at the problem in the eye and say, this is the problem. And I can give you so many examples. For instance, traffic, which is very basic to everybody. when after the Udoji Award in the early 70s, I think it was in the early 70s, and people had funds to purchase cars, traffic began to grow. Now, instead of taking a holistic attitude and one, train the police to do what they're supposed to do, expand the road networks, and begin to put a culture of driving properly in the country, we created the yellow fever, the traffic wardens at the time. You remember at the time, traffic warden was separated from the Nigerian police. And the problem was not solved because the people were still constrained to virtually the same network of roads, more cars on the same network of roads. And then we stopped training drivers. So Federal Road Safety Commission was formed. And of course, I'm sure that you all know that the problem became worse. And now all of the state governments are creating their own variants of the Federal Road Safety Corps. An example is LASMA in Lagos. And the people are still on the same roads. So whereas we had 200 cars on a stretch of road, now we have 1,000. Now we have drivers who cannot read traffic signs, which are not even there. So today, when people see traffic lights, either in Abuja or in Lagos, they don't even know what to do. I'm sure that, I can't remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. I cannot remember the last time we trained drivers in Nigeria. It's the same thing with the issue of corruption. When we detected, corruption was increasing, we started creating so many variants of, and I always ask the question, where is the equivalence of EFCC in the countries that we're trying to be like? So we have created EFCC, we have created ICPC, we have created Bureau for, what's that other agency? Sorry? No. Those are another problem entirely. The BP and the BPP, I'm talking of Code of Conduct Bureau. But in all honesty, can we say that corruption has reduced in Nigeria? Can we say that? So the problem is that we don't look at problems in the face and deal with the issue rather than creating bodies and bodies and bodies and bodies. We don't have the variants of EFCC, ICPC, and Code of Conduct Bureau in the countries that we're trying to be like. In this age and times, honestly, it's not rocket science. There is hardly anything you want to do that has not been done before or that is not being done in some other places. So you see in various sectors that once we identify a problem, rather than look the problem in the eye and providing solution to it, we create another body. It will appear to me that it is finding job for the boys, and that is one of the reasons why we are where we are today. I cannot remember the last time anybody had to do driving tests to obtain a driver's license. I can't remember. In the US, if you want to obtain a driver's license, it's a long process. And I remember my daughter, when she went to the US at the age of 18, I remember when she wanted to go and obtain a driver's license, she called me and said, "Daddy, please pray for me." And I think the first time she went there, she didn't make it. And it was one slight error. And eventually, she had to go back, to retake the test. So that's what I see that we're doing wrong. and that has virtually destroyed all the sectors. The power sector is faced with so many problems. I was trying to explain to you, for instance, that the discos have various coverage areas. And if you take them one by one, you will see that some of them are covering a landmass that is bigger than 2, 3, 4 African countries together. You know, somebody was on my secondary school classmates forum. Somebody was trying to do a comparison between Botswana and Nigeria. And I said, Botswana has 581,000 kilometers, square kilometers. But 70% of that is Kalahari Desert. So effectively, what they have is less than 100 and something thousand kilometers. Nigeria has a vast land. Botswana has a population of 2.5 or 2 point something million. You can't compare that to, there's no basis. There's no basis. And so if they have 1,000 naira, their GDP is likely to be higher than that of Nigeria. You know, Nigeria has 210 million people. Yes, officially. You know, you can see the population of Lagos. I'm sure that the population of Botswana is not as thick as Surulere alone. I'm not trying to give excuses for what we are in Nigeria or how we're doing things badly. But I'm saying that we have a giant problem. We have giant problems in all of the areas. And we need to put our heads together to provide solutions to these problems. You know, you can say that Nigeria is a country in progress. I know that we have enough human resources. We have enough intellectuals to find solutions to our problems. And I'm beginning to see that the government of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is tackling the problems headlong. I don't want to say that they work in silos. I mean, it would not be absolutely correct. I don't want to say that. That would be too negative. I would like to say that there's need for better collaboration between all of them. And then one of the greatest things that we need to do is that there must be a coordinating agency that is not encumbered with or by bureaucratic procedures. Okay, NEC is supposed to be the regulator in the society. Now, like I said before, if you have a regulator, they must be trained. And we shouldn't be ashamed to train our regulators and to ensure that we have the right people in those positions. But like I said, almost all the agencies in Nigeria, you find a lawyer heading an engineering company. You know, I mean, it's not done. And what happens is that, I don't want to create a war between professions, but the truth of the matter is that if you are a lawyer and you have, you're doing legal consultancy in the sector, that doesn't make you to be chief executive of a purely engineering company. You know, the last time it was an accountant that was in charge of one of the parasitals in the sector, and you know, even now that there's a new government, you see all kinds of people trying to outdo each other here and there. TCN, for instance, is supposed to be in charge of the transmission networks. Okay. But you have the independent ISO under them. How is that going to work? I mean, that is supposed to be an independent, and it cannot be under TCN. You know. The discos, for instance, who is supervising them? NERC is supposed to supervise them. But you have on the board BPE, you know, that has 40% of the shares, and they're supposed to monitor them. Are they doing that? And then, now the Yoruba people say, "Amukun eru ewo, oni ewo saleni." That is, if a man is crippled or has bent knees and is carrying a load, it's not likely that the load will be straight because the legs are bent anyway. So that is the problem that we have. You know, the root cause, we are not attacking the root cause. You know, the electricity power sector reform has a transition program. But unfortunately, because we didn't do the privatization properly, we gave it to people who have no financial resources. They borrowed money from the banks to purchase the concession anyway. You know, because they borrowed money from the bank, they don't have enough funds to repair the aging facility that they inherited. So that is a problem. Now the bank is on them. The bank lent them money for 5 years, or you know, whereas this is a sector that is, I mean, you need long-term fund. You know, you need to have enough money to lay new cables, replace transformers. Some of these transformers have been there since 1960-something, to replace them. Look, where I come from in Ondo South Central District, we have not had power for up to 15 years now from the national grid. Everybody is an electricity generator company on his own. When we stepped into it to see what was happening, we discovered that the distribution company did not have enough money to repair the damaged distribution networks. So NDPC stepped into it, and we've spent almost 3 billion to repair all of that. 3 billion. Or almost 3 billion. I mean, we're talking about 6 local governments. At a point, by the time we had finished the reticulation of the networks in 5 of the local governments, we discovered that the source of supply is from Ondo. Ondo has a 2 by 30 MVA substation. One of that substation is gone. So it means that the distance of almost 100 kilometers from Ondo to Ore and to Ilaje, to Igbokoda area, to Mahin and Co. Just one single 33 kV line is coming from that. So by the time the light gets to Okitipupa, what you have is candle light. It's the same thing we saw in Lafia, for instance. For years, Lafia, even the government house in Lafia, was being operated on generator, because the single line feeding Lafia and the entire Nasarawa state is from Abuja. So that's why we stepped in and built the 330, 132, 33 kV substation, which was commissioned early last year by President Muhammadu Buhari. And you can see the joy in the faces of the people. Now, in Ondo South Central District, for instance, they are the NDDC, not NDPHC, is building a 132 kV substation in Uderinije, which should help to bring power from Omotosho and to that area. But they have been on it for years now. And without the completion of that, there's nothing that can happen in the place. they will still have candlelight. So these are the problems. Now, NDDC is independent of NEC. It's virtually independent of the DISCO. It's independent of but they are doing a good work because they have offered to do, they have identified the problem and they have offered to do it. But who is coordinating these activities to ensure that everybody is working? And you know, one of the things I always complain about is that since this past 6-10 years, for instance, TCN has many of its projects are 85-90% completed. Some of the problems are just live that the government should collaborate with the state governments to resolve. But what do you have? A substation is ready in Akure, for instance. A 330 kVA substation is ready in Akure. The transmission line is supposed to come from Oshogbo to Akure, and another transmission line is supposed to come from Benin and drop in Akure. Because of way-live issue along the route from Oshogbo to Akure, that project has been stalled for almost 6 years. So there has to be an organization that is above NEC, that is linked only to the president, that will look at all of these things. I talked about the fragmentation in the sector. You know, look, and let me tell you something. I know that electricity is a commercial venture. Yes. And when you put your money there, you should be able to recover your investment. However, it's also a social contract between the government and the people. It's a social contract. You know, so if you have such a transmission line, everybody should be involved. And I remember that it has to be a responsibility. I remember when we were doing a project in Owerri. And because the transformers have been there for a long time, we needed to remove the transformers to a workshop somewhere in Ikorodu there for repairs, so that when they take them back, it can function properly. And we had given authority to the EPC contractor to go and remove the transformer. But of course, when the community saw that they were removing their transformer, this was a transformer that has not been functioning for the past 10, 15 years. They refused to let them go, and the governor had to intervene. The governor also refused to let them take the transformer away. I had to personally intervene with the governor, speak with the governor, write an undertaking before the transformer can be moved to the workshop for repairs. It's not repairs, but you know they need to change the oil and make sure it's in good working condition, because it's been on the plinth for 15 years. So there has to be a coordinating agency that is devoid of bureaucratic encumbers. Initially, NDPAC was created from the Federation account. The initial seed money for NDPAC was from the Federation account. However, since we started producing electricity, let me put it that way, we don't receive subvention from the government. So our revenue is from the sale of electricity, sale of energy to the network and to what we call willing buyers. For instance, you will see that we still, even outside the country, we sell power to countries outside Nigeria. Yeah. So that's how we derive our, but because also we are owned by the 3 tiers of government, we have also embarked on working with the other sectors to improve the network. For instance, we build distribution. So from the profit that we have, we build distribution networks virtually in all. There is no state in Nigeria that has not felt the impact of NDPAC. And then we, like I said, the transmission substation in Lafia was constructed by NDPHC. It's like LNG. LNG cannot receive subvention from the federal government anymore. Of course, initially, government put in their own investment and the private sector put in their own investment. I'm hoping that we will move away from this structure in NDPAC. I'm really hoping that we'll and adopt the NLG structure, for instance, and bring in a huge investor to acquire 49% so that we can start operating like an LNG. There's a lot of confusion in the society, and even those even some high government officials don't even know the functions of NDPAC. They don't even know. We were in a gathering some time ago, and a former minister who claimed to have been a part of the conception of NDPAC was annoyed when somebody threw a question at him, and he said, "What are you talking about? I don't have power in my house, and you guys are sitting down there." And I had to lecture him and say, "Hey, I'm not supposed to put power in your house. I'm just a businessman, in the sector, producing oil, producing power, electricity, like every other person, like, what's the name of Elumelu's Transcorp Power, and selling it. That's all we are." The problems are enormous. But I believe very strongly that the discos, as they are now, don't have the capacity. There has to be a restructuring of that sector. Under whatever you want to call it, maybe breaking their franchise into little bits. One or two of them are doing well. Eco, Disco, Ikeja Disco, yeah. Because, and also, the problems are different. So, but for most of them, look, let me give you an example. If you need to, under Yola Distribution Company, you know how wide that sector, that part of the country is. If you need to take a 33 kV line from one town to the other, you may be doing 100 kilometers. Whereas under the Eco Disco franchise, 100 kilometers will do 2, 3, 4, 5 communities. So we need to restructure this discourse. We need to support the discourse to develop a new program tailored to reduce ATC and C losses. What is ATC and C? Aggregate technical, commercial, and collecting losses. Now, when you take power from Ondo, for instance, to Ilaje, 100 kilometers, by the time, and don't forget that along that route, you are dropping power for Ore, for Ajebandele, for this, for that. By the time you get to the end, what you have is candlelight. So you will need to, and the discos don't have the finances to do these things. I said earlier that the privatization was not properly done. Okay. I'm not sure that those people have an understanding of what they were getting into. Everybody thought the power sector was like the telecommunications sector. But it is not. The amount of infrastructure that you need to put in place, physical infrastructure that you need to put in place for power is totally different from that. Because apart from your cell in telecommunication and the handset there's nothing that you need to do. You probably don't need to put poles, pay compensation. Fiber optic is for specific areas. For specific things, and it doesn't stop the telecommunication facilities.
After all, they can use satellite.
Yes, exactly, from functioning very well.
Okay.
So that the difference is, but you cannot send power remotely. You need cables, you need poles, you need transmission lines, you need all sorts of things. You need transformers. The discos should be responsible for them. But when they don't have the fund, what do? You can see that many of them, about 7 of them, are under receivership now. Some sort of receivership or the other. You can see. Because they borrowed money from the banks and they were not able to pay back within the time they thought, they were going to be able to pay back.
They were taking over.
You have to deal with each one of them, on it has to be a tailored solution to each disco. You cannot apply the same brush for all of them. Well, the truth of the matter is that at some point there will be increase in tariff. However, this is not the time for it. Nigeria, we are doing a lot of reforms now. The removal of the subsidy has increased the cost of living in Nigeria. The exchange rate, harmonization of the exchange rates is also going to affect the economy and the earning power of the common Nigerian, even though that should not be the case, because I can tell you for free that no business organization was charging their customers based on the 400 and something naira to the dollar that the CBN was and that's a fraud on its own, because CBN knows that there's nobody who is selling anything in Nigeria decides the cost of that good based on the CBN exchange rate. It's simple, because they are not sure that they will get, when they need to replace machinery, raw materials, they were not sure that they could get the dollars from CBN. So this is the best thing that could have happened.
The Naira float.
The Naira float is the best thing that can happen to our nation, Nigeria. And I'm surprised, because every expert and non-expert had been advising CBN to do this for so long. So I'm surprised that the CBN was reluctant to do what is needful. And that's about the corruption in the system. So this is not the time, and I'm advising government too, this is not the time to increase tariff. Honestly, subsidizing the power sector is not good for the economy, because the truth of the matter is that 80% of the subsidy in the power sector is being enjoyed by people who can afford to pay for electricity. That's the truth. The low tariff pays only the rich. The poor people just take advantage, just like in fuel too. Look, if you have 10 cars and you put all the 10 cars on the road, the poor man has only one way to go, just to go to office and come back, and But the man who has 10 cars the wife will take one, the children will take one, the workers will take one, and that's what is happening in the sector. So yes, this is not the time to think about increasing tariff. It will look. In the past, the cost of diesel was very high, right? Now, a lot of people migrated to using petrol generators. Yes. Now, the cost of petrol is even almost higher than the cost of, because petrol burns faster, you use more petrol for your generator than diesel. So, generating power in your house now, where you don't have power supply from the national grid, is a big problem. No, there's no doubt in my mind that we need to migrate to prepaid meter. I mean, not only intelligent meters, so that when we have intelligent meters, nobody can manipulate their consumption. You know, if you go to some hotels in the past, all of the heavy-duty consuming equipment, their laundry, their air conditioners are connected directly, or they bypass the meters, you know. But if you have intelligent networks, that cannot happen because it will be discovered and then you will be dealt with appropriately. So there's no doubt in my mind that everybody, and it's in the interest of the consumer too, to acquire prepaid meters. And it's not the only prepaid meters that the discos should supply. It should be intelligent networks. Of course, I said earlier that they don't have the money to do it. They don't have the funds.
What will the intelligent network, or what will it do?
Look, if you had an intelligent network in a place like this, for instance, you can determine what is happening without you being there. Even on your phone, you can control your this thing. So I'm just trying to use that to explain what it is. So if you have an intelligent network, the discos in their control rooms will be able to monitor and ensure that energy theft is reduced to the barest minimum, and they can ensure proper operations in their own sector.
At the core of what makes us human is our ability to pay attention, be present in our experiences, and channel our thoughts and actions towards meaningful goals. However, for individuals with ADHD, which is considered a neurodevelopmental disorder, a medical condition that affects the brain, this fundamental aspect of human nature is often disrupted, leading to difficulties in maintaining focus, controlling impulses, and regulating behaviors.
Hyperactivity disorder is a neurodevelopmental disorder that occurs in children and adolescents. It's a problem that has to do with brain development and the brain function. And the ADHD symptoms range from inattention, impulsivity, and hyperactivity. They may be very restless, fidgeting, and they're always on the move. And sometimes they may be climbing, jumping from here and there, that they may injure themselves in the process.
Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, is one of the most common mental disorders diagnosed in children, though it can persist into adolescent and adulthood. The history dates back to 1798, when a Scottish doctor, Sir Alexander Crichton, observed that some individuals were easily distracted and unable to focus on their activities as others could. He noted that these symptoms often began early in life, which is consistent with what we now recognize as ADHD. The disorder typically manifests between the ages of 3 and 6, with symptoms such as difficulty in focusing, excessive movement inappropriate to the setting, and impulsive actions occurring without forethought. This ailment affects people of all ages, though most commonly diagnosed in children. The average age of onset is around 7 years, with symptoms significantly impacting various aspects of life. Approximately 5 to 10 of children worldwide are affected, with the highest prevalence rates observed in Africa at 8.5% and South America at 11.5%. Variations exist across different countries, with lower rates in Japan and Finland and higher rates in Jamaica and Thailand. In the United States, about 7% of children are diagnosed with this disorder, reflecting an average of prevalence globally.
Differentiate between ADHD and other neurodevelopmental disorders. It starts with comprehensive assessment. And when I talk about assessment, I mean assessment by child psychiatrists, assessment by child psychologists, and other professionals in the mental health team. And of course, there are some basic symptoms that are very clear and obvious. The clinical presentation, when you see a child that is hyperactive, that is impulsive, that is inattentive, that itself can give you a clue that that child may be having ADHD symptoms. And again, you also take further history. You may need to take, if there's a family history of ADHD in the setting, because if there is a family history of ADHD, the child may come out with ADHD in the nearest future.
Individuals affected faces challenges that extend into academic performance, work or personal relationships, and social domains. Some of the signs include constant fidgeting, impulsiveness, and difficulty completing tasks, alongside emotional struggles such as mood swings, low self-esteem, and frustration.
The diagnosis is made following a comprehensive assessment, and you also do some basic psychological investigations, and of course, by combining the report from the child psychiatrist and the child psychologist, you'll be very comfortable to make a diagnosis. And of course, I must say that there are some childhood disorders that may mimic ADHD, like learning disability, like autism spectrum disorders. But the symptoms of ADHD are so very, very obvious that when you see a child that is hyperactive and oftentimes restless, oftentimes impulsive and unable to follow instructions, that should give you a high index of suspicion that that child may be struggling with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
While it's not a physical ailment like a broken bone, it is a real condition that is frequently accompanied by other conditions such as major depressive disorder, anxiety, substance abuse, learning disabilities, conduct disorder, and oppositional defense disorder, which complicates the management and treatment of the disorder. Treatment for ADHD typically involves a combination of medical therapy and behavioral interventions. Stimulants are also the most commonly used, with 70 to 80% of children experiencing symptoms relief. Cognitive behavioral therapy, anger management, and family therapy are key in managing symptoms, along with educational interventions that enhance coping strategies and organizational skills. While these treatments help manage ADHD, they do not cure it, highlighting the need for ongoing support and personalized care. Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD, is a complex condition with far-reaching effects on behavior, cognition, and emotional well-being. Continued research and effective treatments are vital in helping those affected lead fulfilling lives and contribute meaningfully to their society. Grace Komolafe, Souq News TV.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission: empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing, and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, monitoring, and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions. all in a comfortable and friendly environment. Ready to make an impact? For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 439 2362. Visit us today at www.adstudycenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
What keeps the heartbeat of a community alive? Is it the courage to create, the power to connect, the vision to transform? Well, it's all of these and more. It's a symphony of ideas, innovation, and industry. But where do these stories come alive? It's right here on The Isle, 104.9 FM, the station where dreams meet action and growth finds its voice. The Isle, 104.9. Business, economy, development. Stay tuned.
We've got just what you need right here at Femi Wash Media. Call it the Midas Touch, and you wouldn't be wrong. Let us record, produce, mix, and master your audio like nobody does. Reach us on our contact today for the best quality job.